Do you have a will or a living trust? If you said no, you're not alone. According to ARP, only 4 of 10 American adults have completed end-of-life planning. Our next guest urges you to stop waiting till the last minute to get your affairs in order. Elder law attorney and author Taylor Willingham is here with his latest book, Do I Need a Will or a Trust? Well, nice to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
I've already confessed that I am guilty, and what I want to tell you is don't be one of those 4 in 10 Americans that only 4 in 10 have this done. It's a really bad decision not to do it yet, and I'm going to go do it.
All right.
Are you surprised by that number?
Actually, I'm surprised people actually get it done. It's a very difficult thing to plan for something when you're not going to be here anymore. And so it's hard to take the time out of your day to go, okay, I need to plan for this. And just like you said, I was an estate planning attorney for 2 years, and I still haven't got my stuff done. So I understand when people say they haven't got it done.
Okay, so who might need a will or a trust, or should a person consider both?
Okay, so there's 3 groups of people that I would say, okay, these are, you need a trust. So number 1, if you're a blended family. Blended families create nightmare situations when people pass away. Number 2, if you're over the age of 65. If you're over the age of 65, it's time to focus and get this done. The 3rd is if you have responsibility over somebody that can't handle their own financial affairs. So those are my 3 groups of people. I say if you fall in one of those groups of people, you need to take the time to get this done.
You've just covered a whole lot of people right there. So what are the primary differences between a will and a trust?
So I wrote this book under this concept that people, attorneys like me, have created this problem. We've created that people think wills and trusts are the same thing. They're not. A will is like a death deed. It just tells us who you want in charge of your estate and where you want your property to go.
Right.
A trust is a completely different document. It actually bifurcates or separates the different legal interests, a legal title, an equitable title, and property. So they do completely different things. They're not the same thing, and so people group them together because attorneys like me commonly talk about them together.
So, as I said, this is difficult to plan for, but it's really important. Can you explain how failing to plan ahead ultimately hurts the people who you're closest to in the long run?
Yeah, the easiest way is to think about blended families and the problem that they create. So when you have a blended family, now all blended families are different. Okay, it creates a problem. I can't just group them all together, but most blended families are really separated. You have a spouse and then children from a previous family.
Right.
And you usually, when you don't plan for this, state law doesn't know what to do. So we give everything, almost everything, to the children. We don't give it to the spouse.
Interesting.
So that creates a big problem. And the other problem is when people do plan is they forget their children. They cut them out and then they don't think about what's going to happen afterwards, after they pass away, and time goes on and your spouse doesn't have a relationship with your children.
Right. That is really interesting. That's something I hadn't even thought of. So people may be saying, oh gosh, how do I come up with the money for this? What do you say to people who put it off because they think they can't afford it? What are the average fees?
Okay, so the average fees could be anywhere from $500 to $20,000. I mean, it depends on the individual. The better question is like, if I can't afford it, how do I pay for it? Well, one, there are attorney insurance programs that are usually offered through work. So I'd always go to my employer and say, hey, do we have any attorney insurance program? The other concepts could be just call up the attorney and say, hey, I don't have the money right now, but I need to get this done. Will you go on a payment plan with me? Will you work something out with me? And that way you can get it done and just pay what you can every month. And most attorneys would agree to it.
Okay, let me see a copy of that book.
All right.
All right. So when people read your book, what are some of the main things you hope they take away from it?
One main thing that we haven't talked about is if you are going to end up in a long-term care situation, so usually people that are over 70 or your parents are, trust can save hundreds of thousands of dollars in wasting if you'll take the time to get it done. So that's one of the things, the main takeaways I wrote in that book is, how can I save a lot of my money so I can leave an inheritance to my children? You can take that book. That one's yours.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Really good information, really important information for families. Again, the title of Taylor's latest book is Do I Need a Will or a Trust? Whether you need a will, trust, deed, Medicaid planning, VA benefits, or you're going through probate, the Willingham Law Firm, PC, can help. Plus, you can call 214-499-9647 for more information, or simply go to willprobateattorneys.com.